Broken Greek by Peter Paphides. This is a memoir that is set in Birmingham in the 1970s-80s and largely in a place called Acox Green, and it's published by Orion Books, and I listened to it as an audiobook. This is essentially a memoir of childhood, and it is the story of a young man growing up in Britain with Greek parents. The parents run fish and chip shops, various ones, they move around a little bit, and it is his story of acclimatising into school, into culture, with a very strong Greek Cypriot background from both his parents. His parents don't have a particularly good marriage, and there is quite a lot of verbal violence from dad to mum, and he in a way becomes a protector, or tries to become a protector of his mum. The family takes a trip to Greece and they go to visit relatives in both Greece and in Cyprus, and he comes back from that trip and almost decides unconsciously he is not going to speak for the next 3 years. He will speak to members of his family, so Aki often does a bit of interpreting for him, but it's kind of like he cannot speak. He's traumatised, you can hear that in some kind of way. And then he has ways of being that keep himself safe. He won't tread on lines on the pavement. And he looks to other ways of regulating his life and his own well-being. One of the interesting aspects of this memoir is that he charts his growing up by what is going on in the field of music, and so it will take you back to the 1970s and 80s, and if you are particularly familiar with the music of that era, this is really one for you. So he will almost use that as a way to manage his life. It gives him an interest, it gives him a focus. He goes to the record shops and to Woolworths on a Saturday to choose his records. It takes his mind off what's going on at home with his difficult parental relationship, and he will talk about what was going on in that period of life, like the smoking deck, which I had forgotten on buses, was on the top floor of a bus, which would never happen nowadays. He would also mention dial-a-disc, which is, you would ring a certain number on the telephone, and you would be allocated a random record from the top 10, and you'd listen to it and then you put it down, and then you could ring again and you get another random record from the top 10. I mean, that was very much as it was then. This is very much a story of growing up in a very specific time. It is poignant, it is heartfelt, and he does tell you a lot about, his inner workings, which, are quite sad in some ways, and it's very honest. So if you are interested in a story of childhood, a story of 70s, 80s music, then Broken Greek by Peter Paphides is, I think, one to pick up.